In the woods you happen across a clearing full of strangely beautiful people. At first you think they may be human, but upon closer examination you discover that their features are too fair and perfect to have come from mortal man. You walk into the clearing to get a better look and introduce yourself, but happen to step inside a ring of mushrooms and flattened grass. Their expressions quickly turn from curiosity to wrathful anger. Suddenly you begin to feel ill. You reach out to apologize and explain your actions, but they are already disappearing into the depths of the forest. It is too late. As punishment for your offense, you have been elf shot. What is an elf? An elf is a mythical creature that appears to be human in nature, but has magical powers and does not age, or at least ages very slowly. It appears that elves have their origins in Germanic lore, but they are also commonly found in other European folklore. The elves are seen as a luminous group of people who are known to have fair complexions far more perfect than even the most beautiful human features. They are sometimes known as the white people. It is thought that this is either a reference to their pure morality or, perhaps as a reference to their beauty and pale features. Elves were seen as both a point of fear and curiosity in early societies. They were often known to be sociable and even friendly to humans, but they were still greatly feared because of their temper. If they perceived a human to have harmed or offended them in any way, they were quick to retaliate with a punishment. Common punishments included illness, night terrors, and cruel tricks and attacks directed towards the victim. It is noted, however, that the elves did sometimes help cure sicknesses in some instances. Elves and birth. The elves are a curious legend indeed. Although they are thought to never age, or to live for hundreds of years depending on which storyline you follow, the elves were thought to need human assistance to bring their children into the world. This help was often thought to be needed from midwives who could safely deliver the children and from wet nurses. While midwives have a pattern of being married to preachers, the wet nurses were normally women who had recently given birth. This caused great fear in many early European households. While both of these groups of women had something to fear from traveling to the elven world, the wet nurses were especially terrified of their fate. They were normally taken from their newborns and families to the elven world to take care of the newborn elf babies. While this doesn't seem to be nefarious, it would have been frightening for any woman who was put in this situation. It was rumored that eating any food offered in the elven world or taking any hospitality from them would keep a person from ever returning to the human world. It is unclear if these rules held to the wet nurses, who obviously had to spend a prolonged period of time in their world, but the fear of being barred from returning to their families would have been enough to give them great fright. It was also common for midwives to be called upon to help bring elven babies into the world. It is unknown why a midwife was needed, but it was common knowledge at the time that a human midwife was needed to deliver an elf child. Usually, a midwife who was married to a preacher was called upon to perform the necessary duties. It was important that the midwife who was called did not eat or drink while in the elf world for the above reasons. Some stories say that the midwives, who usually had time to prepare unlike the kidnapped wet nurses, would sometimes pack food and water to take with them so that they could keep themselves from becoming hungry. There are several tales of midwives being summoned that were widely accepted in their day. Peter Rom's wife is summoned. A clergyman by the name of Peter Rom was known to have told a tale of his wife being summoned to help a mythical being give birth. She went with the creature and performed her duties. After the child was born, the grateful couple offered the midwife food and drink. She kindly refused. They offered her other forms of hospitality which she refused as well. She was sent on her way and returned home. The next day she found a pile of silver pieces, A gift from the new parents for delivering their child. A Danish story of an elf and his earthwife. A Danish tale tells of an earthman, an elf, who sought the help of a midwife on Christmas Eve. He took the midwife underground and had her attend to his earthwife during labor. When the child was delivered, the elven husband took the child away, seeking to steal the good fortune of a newlywed couple for the child. While he was gone, the elf wife gave the midwife a warning. She warned the woman against eating any food or taking any drink while she was under the surface of the earth. She told the midwife that she too had been a Christian woman before she was invited into the realm of the elves, but had made the mistake of eating their food while she visited. Because she had accepted their hospitality, she was unable to return to her own world. When the husband returned, the midwife refused the offers of hospitality. Because of this, she was allowed to return to her home. Elves and their relationships with humans. While there seemed to be a great many ways that elves could threaten the safety of a human being, there were some elves who lived in peace with humans and even formed relationships with them. While there are some accounts of elves who tried to seduce humans into having sexual relations with them, it appears that there were some humans and elves who had children consensually. These children were known to be especially beautiful and often went on to do great things. More often than not, half-elf half-human children appeared to be human in their features, though they were often very beautiful, and were capable of great magic feats. They sometimes went on to become magicians, sorcerers, and healers. There are several ballads and stories concerning elves who mate with humans. They usually involve some sort of riddle that the person must solve in order to become their lover. Some stories also require the character to rescue a human-turned elf in order to win their lover's hand in marriage. The Elfin Knight. The Elfin Knight is a story that can be told in two manners. The first is that the knight threatens to steal a woman away to be his lover unless she can complete an impossible task. The second is that a woman must complete an impossible task in order to win the knight's hand in marriage. Over time, the second has become more popular. The tale starts with the knight blowing into a magic horn that causes desire to emerge in the heart of the maiden. She makes a wish that she could marry the knight. Suddenly the elfin knight appears and tells her that he will marry her if she can perform several tasks, all impossible. In return, the maiden responds with several impossible tasks of her own that the knight must complete and wins the hand of knight in marriage. What do elves look like? The majority of elves that are described in folklore are female, though there were certainly male elves as well. The description of an elf's appearance varies depending on the time period and the location that the story takes place in. It appears that the majority of female elves are known to be fair creatures. They often have blonde hair and blue or gray eyes. These are also the features that they value in humans, and are known to have characteristics that are similar to humans but much more perfect in nature. There are, of course, some variations in their appearance. These characteristics, however, are the most commonly used in fairy tales.